Well, the patch 7.5 live letter just happened, and for me, it actually exceeded expectations. First of all, they teased the ultimate, delivered a patch trailer with some of the most hype music I've heard from the game for a while, delved into some really great quality of life, and showcased Beastmaster via footage. In today's video, I'll be breaking down all the announcements and looking at them in a little bit more detail, and from there, we'll be looking forward to 8.0. It's an exciting time to be a Final Fantasy XIV player, and honestly, I'm feeling pretty good after today. So, they open with the patch trailer. I'm not going to spend ages breaking this down, and you can go and watch it for yourself if you want to in full, but there's a lot of lore implications here regarding the return of both Zero and Golbez, and right at the end of it all, they teased the upcoming 7.5 Ultimate. It's Kefka. But Kefka with whom, I wonder? If we change the language over to German, he says what translates to "I was simply cloned." The Japanese version is also basically the same. The immediate impression I get here is that this is Kefka talking about the cloned Omega version of himself. Could it be the real quote-unquote Kefka? Obvious predictions are Kefka and Warring Triad for the Ultimate, or a boss rush of Final Fantasy final bosses that fell to the wayside, but I do wonder if we are returning to Omega and telling a tale that isn't as simple as a minstrel's ballad. Of course, there's always the chance that it's a complete debate considering it's Kefka we're talking about. Whatever it is, this means far more to me personally than a Pandemonium or Nier Ultimate ever could, and it also shows that Square Enix are finally beginning to break from the shackles of their tried and tested format for Ultimate encounters, which is very promising for the future of the difficulty. Really, I just can't wait for next week to get a full reveal because I really do think it's going to be exciting. They confirm new main scenario quests, Allied Society capstone quests, a new custom delivery NPC and Hildebrand quests, the new dungeon in which FF14 players get to find the Clitium at long last, the new Alliance raid, Inuo as the EX trial, Shinryu as the Unreal trial, the final step of Phantom Weapons, Beastmaster, Cosmic Exploration update, the Housing update, and an as of yet undetailed Gold Saucer update, which we'll hear more on soon. Honestly, I'm kind of expecting this to be a collaboration in a similar vein to the Fall Guys one, and that's why they don't want to talk about it. There's also the Die system update too, and an increase in the gear that can be stored in the armoire. They showed off gameplay of the Third Walk, the Final Fantasy XI raid set in Windhurst, and a little bit of the first boss Shantoto. They also showed the gear sets available from the raid, and honestly, I can see a bunch of pieces that could go very well with certain glamours. They showcased the new Crystalline Conflict map with Google Library adjacent theming, as well as its custom mechanics. There's a new healing glyph in front of each base that provides defense and HP recovery when within it, and a checkpoint style system for capture partway through the map. This is called an Aetherometer. You can capture it over time, but if you leave or the other team invades, progress immediately drops back down to 0%. They said that they put a lot of effort into their map design skills here, testing a lot of line of sight cutting and anticipating hotspots for battles. They added some quality of life improvements to the sightseeing log, which should make those around Reborn logs a little less painful, and expanded the outfit glamour system. Now, gear from dungeons all the way back to 3.0, Heavensward onwards, can be stored as outfit glamour. You can also remove individual pieces of gear from outfit glamours easily, as well as put them back in. Honestly, an understated change, and I'm impressed at how much progress they've made here so quickly. This really is the small beginnings of a glamour catalogue, and I cannot wait to see how it expands. Yoshida said, "It surely helps for collections, and it's easy to tell if you completed a set. And I know people will open this in-game and see the new features they saw during the player live letter, and then they will get overwhelmed because they will want to do everything at once and then they end up never doing it. Please take your time. Do 3 today. No need to do all of them today. It will start feeling organised and clean halfway through. Don't try to reach the goal in one go. This applies to everything, step by step." They also added big quality of life to crafting, allowing you to perform more actions with the crafting log open, including changing job. using food and pots, moving inventory items, joining or leaving a party, and operating link shells. That's big. There's also a small update to Chocobo companions, which is intended to snowball into more additions later down the road. Firstly, they have new animations corresponding to their companion rank, and secondly, they will now react to the emotes Pet and Poke. 2 new colour schemes in clear pink and clear grey have been added as well. Then, we get a real look at Beastmaster. Yoshida said, "There are mobs you can capture as a party, but for those who want to go solo, all 50 of them can be done solo. There are mobs from Alliance raids, but if you want to do it solo, you can, for example, obtain those as quest rewards. You can walk around with tamed mobs, even in cities. Your rotation as a Beastmaster will have skills of the mob you are using. Dependent on the beast, elements will change. For example, some have a stun, an interrupt, and while using those, there is the unique content for Beastmaster. This content has different difficulties and rankings as well. The entry to the Crucible of the Unbroken is part of the job quests, so those will introduce you to it. They also said that they're expecting to do an extra segment as they approach the release of Beastmaster, as well as bringing on Mr. Ozma, the lead developer of the content, to showcase it to the player base. So capturing a monster has 4 stages: gauging them to see if they can be captured, weakening them by fighting them, using the catch command, then killing them and finding out whether the capture was successful or not. He showed off the bestiary in combat for Beastmaster 2. The bestiary has options to change the display size of monsters. Basic Beastmaster combat revolves around your 3 battle horns, which you link monsters to in order to summon them. So you get 3 monsters locked at a time and you rotate between them. Beasts have a finisher, which does big damage and makes them leave the field, a tempered release which does their special unique attack, a nature's gift which allows the Beastmaster to use a special action based on which monster, and a trick. The job has 2 gauges that increase over time: the yellow Beastmaster gauge through using basic GCDs, and the Beast gauge through using Beast actions. Spending those gauges allows either the Beastmaster or Beast to use coloured instinctual skills. There's a second gauge here that tracks the usage of those coloured instinctual skills. You want to use them in a clockwise order, as indicated by the little arrows around the side. So, for example, you might use Beastmaster Green into a red Beast action to increase their damage. Doing this correctly gives you a light or dark buff that seems to act as a finisher to everything, which you have a limited period of time to use, or you will lose it. Beastmaster also gets abilities to boost their gauge and a handful of other attacks limited to the player. You will level up without doing the job quests, so if all you want to do is collect the beasts, you can do that too. And in the solo instances, you can level up and train your beasts. At the end, there might even be extra subspecies, like different skins or designs for monsters you've already captured. Beastmaster has the new solo roguelike mode that has been mentioned before. In terms of access to content, you can think of this job exactly like Blue Mage. With unrestricted party settings or duty finder workarounds, you can challenge a lot of different content. Blue Mage was about using wildly unconventional attacks, but Beastmaster, in Yoshida's own words, is more of a straightforward, orthodox fighting style in comparison. He also mentioned the roguelike mode that has been teased and people are highly anticipating. It's less a separate piece of content and more something integrated into the job itself. It consists of multiple stages, which you progress through as part of the job quests, eventually leading to a final boss in the story. After clearing it, you unlock hard difficulty, and after beating all of that, you can further increase the difficulty yourself. He also once again mentioned there will be online rankings for it. The roguelike mode also has passive food and items that only work inside it. You can accrue those from shops, rest points, or random drops inside the mode, and then you can use them to push through difficult sections as buffs. It's designed as a system where you make full use of your available monsters, shops, tents, and passives on the board to clear a run. Basically, Beastmaster is sounding like an interesting, fully fledged piece of solo content, which you can also use as chill, optional group content during the leveling and collection process. Which to me, sounds good. He also showed off a bunch of different rewards, which I'll let play out here as I talk. including the multi-seraph style wings for collecting every Dawntrail Extreme Trial mount. So here's the thing about this patch. Whilst it feels like there wasn't a lot of density in terms of the content that we received in this live letter, it speaks to a positive shift for Square Enix as far as I'm concerned. They are delivering on everything they promised this patch with a high level of quality, effort, and ensuring that we're receiving a lot of quality of life at the same time. The number of quality of life additions we've had this patch is a lot, actually. This is clearly a calm before the storm moment. The upcoming fan festival is where we can expect to hear heavy hitters for the future of Final Fantasy XIV, but what we are receiving in 7.5 alone leaves me feeling very positive. And I'm excited to keep coming back to the game over the next couple of months to see what new has been added and have a bit of fun with it, whilst I wait for 8.0. Also, I'm really excited for Ultimate. I genuinely cannot wait for it. I suppose now we are all tentatively waiting for next week, where at the North American Fan Fest we will find out our first official news for patch 8.0 of Final Fantasy XIV and the direction the developers intend to shift the game going forward, because they have said there is a lot to talk about then. And as usual, I suppose I'll be there to talk about it.